Welcome back everybody to the Rebel Chums channel. Today we're gonna take a close-up look on this fantastic looking saber by Kaisen Sabers. This is their Darksai. It's heavily inspired by the Darksaber from both Star Wars The Clone Wars and the Star Wars Rebels cartoon series. And it's a fantastic looking hilt, as you can see. We go over the details shortly, but this is one of my very favorite sabers ever produced, that I ever owned or reviewed. It's just a gorgeous looking piece. I absolutely adore it. So let's, without further ado, delve right into the review. So we start with the matter section. It's a beautiful resemblance of the Darksaber from the Clone Wars season, where Sabine Wren is basically wielding this lightsaber, and it's really nice. It has these cooling ribs on the top, or I don't know exactly what it is, but it's really nice. It's very cool looking, very clean looking ribs as well. We have a slanted Suba slash handguard, which is really nice. The angle is not too sharp, so it's actually quite comfortable to hold, and basically it's really effective as a handguard as well at the same time. The inner depth of the dimension of the blade socket is quite deep as well, as you can see. Inside you can see it's sporting a Tri-Cree RGB LED. You see here the hole for the retention screw for the blade. So this is where the blades get kept held in place. Now we can see how deep the blade socket is, because people always ask me about that. Do mind it's a slanted emitter, so this is the shortest part. This is where actually the least material is that catches on and protects the blade. As I can, it's around 2 inches from the bottom of the slanted emitter, and it's around 1/2 inch from the top. So on the back you get like 2 inches depth of the blade socket, and on the top around 1/2 inches, which is really nice actually. So it's plentiful for heavy dueling, and it makes the saber blade feels really nice, held in place inside the LED unit. Sorry, in the LED blade holder. In the blade holder. Jeez, it's early morning on the Sunday here. As you can see, and that is one of the eye-catching thing on this entire lightsaber, and that is throughout the entire body, is this amazing etching job done. This is a option that Kaisen Sabers offers. They have a whole bunch of different etching options available. This is their Sith etching. They also have a Jedi etching, they have a Mandalorian etching, and they have another etching as well that is, I think, for bounty hunters. So I highly recommend you guys to check it out. I do like also the etching finish that basically mimics the Darksaber, with the lines that you find on the Darksaber itself. But I wanted to have the Sith Auberesh engraving here, that I believe says something in the lines of through passion I will be free or something. I will put that in the description if I can find it. But that's really cool. People have deciphered that for me, and it just overall it looks amazing, as you can see. I love the overall aesthetics of this hilt. I mean, the lines are really nice. This is a individual piece, so we have the emitter section is one piece, we have the guard is one single piece, and then we have the whole body here, which is an under separate piece, and then we have a separate pommel. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces total that comprise out of this hilt, but it's constructed in a very strong way. And what I wanted to say is that the lines are quite nicely flowing into from the emitter section to the body section, and even on the handguard section on the bottom and on the top we have this amazing looking reoccurring pattern. And this is definitely one of the favorite etching options they had, that I found this was most appealing to me. And even if you want, you can request them to do a powder coating. So they do a powder coating on top of the etching. It looks amazing as well. but I wanted to have this raw finish, so it looks a little bit more like it's weathered at the same time. And it's also very grippy because the etching is basically peeling off a little bit of a layer or top layer of the aluminium, so it gives a lot of gripping area now. It's really nice. And then of course we have a D-ring installed, and the reason for that is that I didn't want to have a cover tech wheel installed, because I found I wanted something that resembled as much as possible the Darksaber from the Clone Wars, sorry, from Star Wars Rebels in a way, where Sabine is wielding that lightsaber. And I felt like, although it's not clearly visible, I believe in the cartoon series, I felt like she's hanging the lightsaber from her belt at times, so I wanted to have it in a D-ring configuration. And I think that worked out pretty well. Kaisen Sabers, they reinforced the D-ring so it doesn't flop around, so it doesn't damage the pommel. So this is very rock solid, it doesn't move. I'm probably not actually going to hang it off the belt, but I just want to have that aesthetic of the D-ring on there, instead of a cover tech sticking out. Some people will like that versus the D-ring. I'm more of a D-ring guy. But nonetheless very cool. It has a kill key as well, which is also milled out of a piece of alloy. Very nice looking. We will get in that in a few seconds. A little bit about the controls and whatnot about the hilt. So we have the retention screw for the blade, then we have a retention screw for the LED. So that's a nice deep retentions. You see the socket is quite deep, so the LED is quite nice deep in the hilt. Then we have a screw in the back side and on the front side that kept this piece in place. So this piece slides into the inner hilt, and this one is being sandwiched this between the top of the emitter and the bottom of the body. So this piece is just loose, but it's sandwiched in between. It's tightened by these two screws, so there's no wobble whatsoever. It's really tight. The margins are very, very minimal. So this thing fits in snug into the hilt body. So it by default already is super snug and very tight. And this piece here, the top of the emitter, slides inside the inner hilt, and it is around another inch or 1/2 inch long. So you have a long wall that goes into the body, so you can see there's almost no margin, and because it's a longer piece that goes inside the inner hilt, it gives that extra protection and strength by. And you are basically unable to move from left to right because the inner wall is another 1/2 inch deep, so you cannot just twist it or move it around. We have the aux switch. The aux switch is to turn on the saber and turn off the saber. And then we have the in-hilt recharge port, which is here. And then we have this amazingly vented pommel. And you can see the speaker inside. And as you can see, this is the pommel. It even have parts of the... let's see, I can show it like this. It has the lines of the etching going through onto the pommel. That's really cool. I love how smooth the pommel is, how beautiful the pommel is, with the squared off edge here. I like it as well. So it still has some resemblance of the actual Darksaber, which is fully squared off. And as you already can see, this is not a squared off saber, this is an oval hilt. And that was one of the appeals to me as well, because since I got my Slim Coda, which you guys will see a review of very soon, I fell in love with oval hilts. The overall dimensions and the feel of these hilts are really amazing. They really feel like an actual lightsaber katana. And that is something that grew on me, and it grew on me so much that I actually prefer it as my personal preference for my personal hilts, that I like these type of gripping more than the cylindric gripping, because there is only two ways that you're gonna grip it. It's either this way or this way, and that makes it a little bit more comfortable in my personal opinion, because the emitter is lining up either way you're gonna wield it. So it's either this way or this way. And if you have, like in this case, it has a very particular design in the middle, so it's also slanted, etc. So in this case you have a very clear picture what is the front and the back of a lightsaber. With a lot of cylindric sabers, it can be held in any fashion or any direction, which is kind of cool, but sometimes it basically it starts to turn around in your hand because it's round, right? And then the control section will turn, and then you have your hands in a different position, not near the control sections, not near the aux button or whatnot. And with this you don't have that, because it's really hard to have this twisted in your hand, because the form factor and the fitting of our human hands, that it's just fitting actually better in the hand. Especially I think for heavy duelers, this is a kind of hilt designs that you're gonna maybe prefer over oval hilts, because it's so close to, as I said, a katana. And that is of course basically where a lot of the lightsaber dueling comes from. It's heavily inspired by kendo, the Japanese fighting sport with samurai swords. Let's fire up. So this lightsaber is sporting the new Nano Biscotti version 4 soundboard. I will do a separate review of that soundboard as well, because this is my first Nano Biscotti soundboard actually. So we're going to take out the kill key and then see what boot up.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi.
And I just dropped the kill key. That is really standard. Kill keys always seem to have a preference to drop on the ground, so sorry about that. So let's go ahead, and so you can see the recessed recharge port that is milled in the hilt. So you have a nice recessed squared off round here. So the kill key actually can fit deeper inside the hilt, so it's more snug. You can have you can probably find another one, or maybe you can make a 3D printed one that is almost flush with the hilt if you want to, if you desire so. With just maybe like a little piece that you can pull it out with, and that's also really cool. So you have that option already. So it's out of deep sleep mode, so we're ready to turn on the saber. Now as I said, it's come with a Tri-Cree LED, so in RGB, so I can color change it by using the config files of the soundboard. So I take out the SD card out of the chassis and then basically recharge it on desire. And let's turn it on. I love this sound font, by the way. I don't know who is the sound font maker. I will check that with Kaisen Sabers. So as you can hear, the sound saber is nice and loud. Of course, the Nano Biscotti version 4 is it's quite sensitive, like Crystal Shards version 4.0. As you see, no accidental clashes. We have Flash and Clash. In this case, Flash and Clash is in a orange color, which comprised a little bit of a green and orange, it seems. And the saber also can be started in silent mode by holding the button till we hear the sound. And now it's in silent mode. We still have Flash and Clash as well, which is actually quite convenient at times to just start up the saber in silent mode, because yeah, sometimes it's just super loud or whatever reason. So we can also turn off the saber and toggle between sound fonts. So hold the button again. Next sound font, this is I believe Light Meat. So we have Tri-Cree in green this time, the LED. Now this is the sound font itself. This sound font is known to be quite soft in the swings. It's a stock sound font that comes with most Nano Biscotti soundboards and or Electrolab soundboards, and it's one of my least favorite sound fonts they have. This sorry, this is again, it was silent mode. Now we go to Dark Meat. Oh, come on. Hold it. Okay, Dark Meat. Here we go. Dark Meat in, of course, Sid Red. But personally, my favorite is the Mandalorian sound form that we heard before.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi.
This one is definitely my favorite. A few things that I want to mention about the controls. So I put back the kill key for a moment. It's a single tactile switch. So there's no AV switch on it. There is nothing that is in the way or obstructing from the lightsaber design. So it's a single button for the entire controls. I do miss a little bit maybe a secondary aux button on the bottom. So there's a button on each side. One for maybe blaster attack sounds or blaster deflect sounds. But it's not on there. I don't know for what the reason was. It's not on there. But I personally would have loved if that was on this saber as well. So I could do like I don't know, a secondary sound on the hilt. Now I have to say, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe to change the colors on the Nano Biscotti, I can only do that from the actual config file, and you cannot do that with an aux button, for example, what you can do with a crystal shard for Print Zero, or with a Pico Crumble where you hold two buttons at the same time and then you can toggle between the colors. I believe that is a feature that's not available on the Nano Biscotti version 3 and version 4, which is a little bit unfortunate if that's indeed the case. Just let me know in the comments, but I believe I'm correct with that because I did ask some people around. So next we're gonna take a look at the dimensions of the hilt, like how long is she and whatnot. So I'm gonna line her up, try to get her in the frame. I'm gonna measure her from the tip of the longest point of the emitter section to the pommel, and we tried to do that as accurate as possible. So if I'm not mistaken, this is just trying to do as straight as possible. It's around 13 inches long, this hilt. So it's definitely a longer hilt. As you can see, it's a full grip. You can have two full hands on it. If you do dueling, for example, and you're, for example, involved with TSL dueling, you wear probably protective glass. And then when you wear the protective glass, it makes your hand even bigger than they already are, probably. And then you still have plenty of space to grip it. And you can grip it more like an actual katana, which is really beautiful. In my personal opinion, one of the very best hilt designs for heavy dueling. And we're going to measure the circumference of the hilt in the middle section as well. And this is where it's really nice. So the circumference is around 4.2 inches. That is really nice. And now we're going to weight her. I want to see how much does this saber weight. I'm pretty interested to find it out because I didn't try it myself yet. It does feel like a nice weight to it. So let me see, are we working? Okay. Let me see, make sure it's zeroed. Okay, now put the hilt on there. Now this is a fully installed hilt with a Nano Biscotti, with a 18650 battery, with a recharge board, tri-cree, etc. It clocks down at 509 grams total, and in the hand it actually feels lighter. It does feel lighter in the hand, and it does not feel like the weight is distributed quite nicely. You would expect, because of this design here with the handguard, it's top heavy, but it's actually not that bad. It's quite balanced, I feel. Well, it's a little bit, or maybe a little bit top heavy, but I think the balance point is around here. So around, yeah, that's around in the middle of the hilt. So that's actually very acceptable. And I think that also has to do with the hilt of the length of the hilt, that makes this hilt more balanced in the hand. With some hilt designs, they're very top heavy because they have a whole bunch of stuff going on the emitter section, makes them very heavy in the top section. Or some hilts have a very big pommel end and all kinds of stuff going on there, makes them very heavy on the bottom. But in this case, it's nicely balanced on the hilt, and as soon as you pop in different sizes of blade lengths, you will balance it out even further out, and that's really nice. So I want to do a quick comparison in size as well. Got a Saberforge Gladius V1 here, my little beater saber that I bought secondhand recently, and as you can see, it's this is around a 10.5 inch long hilt. You can definitely see the the Kaisen saber is a bit longer, but that is expected because it's supposed to be a very close resemblance of the Darksaber in terms of aesthetics. So that is totally fitting. What I also like about this saber is that there is a special package that you can buy, and it comes with a ripper blade. And with a ripper blade, this saber is fantastic looking. Ripper blades, of course, are fantastic looking acrylic blades that mimic Darksaber blades and whatnot. Just that is just a combination made in heaven, of course. Beautiful looking. I hope in the run term I can get my hands on one of those ripper blades myself, because those sabers are those blades are fantastic looking, high in quality. And one thing I do have to note, this particular hilt design is gonna be phased out by Kaisen sabers very soon. So if you want to get one of these Darksabers from them, or Darksai, you need to be very fast, because once they're out, they're probably not going to be made anymore. I have a feeling that the production costs are quite high for these hilts, and I think that's why they're going to be depreciated in favor for a new hilt design, maybe slightly more simplified or whatnot. I'm gonna get to their upcoming new hilt design as well, of course, because I'm really super impressed by this company. The quality of the electronic install, the quality of the hilt, the design, the etching, the total package is just a jaw-dropping beauty. And I hope you guys like this review. This is, as I said, one of my very favorite lightsabers, and I have very few lightsabers that I really dig, and they basically don't rotate out of my collection, and this is definitely one of those hilts. It's just amazing. And guys, if you're on the fence of getting one, don't be on the fence, get one. I promise you, you will be guaranteed super happy with it. It's amazing. I hope you liked the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. We have weekly custom lightsaber reviews. We have daily Star Wars Battlefront 2 gaming streams as well. And we have live discussions about lightsabers. We have live discussions about whatever is going on with the Star Wars universe. So it will be a lot of fun. We have a lot of videos on the weekly basis. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody's support.